Who must file? There are basically 3 criteria that need to be considered on who must file. And they are filing status, age, and gross income. Let's take a look at each of these. In your course book, page 31, A-1, you see a chart, and that chart is divided by filing status, age, and income. So a single individual under 65 would have to make $12,550 or more in income. That would be the threshold. So say for instance we had a 34-year-old person who had $11,000 in income. Then that person would not be required to file a tax return because they did not meet the threshold. And if you will continue down the page, you will see the different age requirements and the different thresholds. The filing statuses that we're looking at are married filing jointly, married filing separately, except we don't prepare married filing separate tax returns, head of household, and qualifying widower. These are the basic filing statuses that you would look at. Now, if you were born on January 1st, 1957, you're considered to be age 65 at the end of 2021. If your spouse died in 2021, or if you were preparing a return for someone who died in 2021, then there are some special requirements, and there's a publication 501 that addresses this. Now, when we say gross income, that means income you received in the form of money, goods, property, and services that isn't exempt from tax, including income that's from outside of the United States. We don't necessarily include Social Security benefits if there are certain criteria that are met, and we'll talk about that in more detail a little later. Okay, chart B is the next chart that we will take a look at. And this chart talks about children and other dependents because they will have different filing requirements. For example, when we say children and other dependents, what we're saying is if your parent or any other taxpayer may claim you as a dependent, then we'll use this chart that's listed here. And unearned income is income from like interest, dividends, capital gains distributions. Earned income is from salary, wages, and so forth. So we're looking at unearned income and we're looking at earned income. Take a look at the first one, either 65 or over or blind. You must file a return if any of the following apply. Your earned income was $2,800 or more, $4,500 if 65 or older and blind. Your earned income was over $14,250, or your gross income was more than the larger of $2,800, or your earned income plus $2,050. So you would utilize this chart in determining whether a child or other dependent would be required to file a tax return. Now, there are certain situations when you must file a tax return, even though you don't meet the age requirement or the income limitations. And we have highlighted those. And the first one we want to talk about is the additional tax on a qualified plan, including any individual retirement arrangement or other tax-favored account. But if you are filing a return only because you owe this tax, you can file Form 5329 by itself. So that is, say, if you had a premature withdrawal from a pension plan and you have to pay that penalty. Okay? Then the next one we look at, these are just some of the ones that we frequently see at our sites. Recapture of the first-time home buyer's credit. And we'll talk about that in more detail a little later. Number 2, you or your spouse, if filing jointly, received the HSA distribution. The next one we want to look at is the advance payment of the premium tax credits that were made for you, your spouse, or a dependent who enrolled in coverage through the marketplace. And that's generally referred to as Obamacare, and we're going to talk about that in detail. You or whoever enrolled should receive a Form 1095-A, and this shows the amount of the advance payments. And the last one we want to take a look at is the advance payments of the 2021 child tax credit. So these are situations when you must file, even though you don't meet the income limitations. Now the next chart, chart D, it shows who should file. Even if a taxpayer is not required to file a federal income tax return, they should file if any of the following situations apply. You had income tax withheld from your pay, pension, Social Security, or other income, and you're filing to get a refund of those of that withholding. You made estimated tax payments or overpayment from estimated tax payments. Taxpayers who do not have withholdings and they have certain taxable incomes, say for instance self-employment income, they're required to make estimated tax payments. 3, you qualify for the earned income credit, and sometimes you may not have a filing requirement, but the earned income credit is a refundable credit, so you want to file so that you can get that credit. You qualify for the refundable child tax credit or the additional child tax credit, and we're going to talk about that in more detail later. You qualify for a refundable credit for child and dependent care expenses, which is new this year. You qualify for a refundable American Opportunity Credit, and we'll talk about that. That deals with the education credits. You qualify for the premium tax credit, and that's through the, again, Marketplace or Obamacare. 8, you qualify for a recovery rebate credit, but either didn't receive the economic stimulus payment or impact payment, we refer to it as a stimulus, or you receive less than the amount you are eligible for. And TaxSlayer will do this computation for you. You received a 1099-B and the gross proceeds plus other income exceeds the filing limits that were listed in chart A. You received Form 1099-S, that's proceeds from real estate transactions. You may want to file a 0 AGI return, such as to prevent tax identity, to claim a tax credit, or for other assistance. Returns with 0 AGI, no refund, and no balance due need to be a paper filed return. Sometimes we get taxpayers at our site who just received Social Security had no withholdings, but they still want to file a tax return. So that would be a paper return. And the last one is you qualify for the refundable sick and family leave credits for certain self-employed individuals. And we'll talk about that in more detail later. Now we're going to go to the poll questions. And the first poll question is, Lucy is 36 years old and single, and her gross income is $20,000. Is she required to file a tax return? Yes or no? We'll give you a couple of minutes to answer that poll question. Okay, we're going to end the, I'm sorry, getting some additional instructions here. Okay, we're going to end the poll. Okay, if you answered yes, and it looks like 92% of you did, her income is over the $12,500 threshold. Okay? We're going to have another poll question, and that's question number 2. Henrietta and Javier are married and plan to file a joint return. Henrietta is 67 and had gross income of $11,000 for the tax year. Javier is 66. His gross income was $5,000 for the year. Are they required to file a tax return? Yes or no? And we'll give you a few minutes to answer the poll. Okay, we're going to go ahead and end the poll. Okay, looks like everyone did Good job on that. 90% said no. So if you said no, you are correct. The combined income is $16,000, and that is below the threshold of $27,800. Good job. Okay. We have one more poll question. This is poll question number 3. Janet and Harry are married, filing jointly, and live together all year. During the tax year, she turned 66 and he turned 64. Their gross income was $19,800. Based only on this information, are they required to file a tax return? Yes or no? And we'll give you a minute to complete or answer that question. Okay, great job. 86% of you said no, and that is the correct answer because that amount is below the $28,450 threshold. Good job. Okay, we're going to go to the next poll question number 4. Bob is 27 years old. His gross income was $17,000 during the tax year. Based only on this information, is he required to file a tax return? Yes or no? You'll have a minute or so to complete. Okay, we're going to close the poll. Okay, and if you answered yes, which 95% of you did, you are correct. 12,550 is over the threshold. Okay, we're going to go to the next poll question. Poll question number 5. Juanita has a dependent child and can file as qualifying widower. She is 47 years old. Her gross income was $27,000. Based only on this information, is she required to file a tax return? You should answer either yes or no. You'll have a minute to complete the poll. Okay, we're going to end the poll. And if you answered yes, and 93% of you did, then you are correct for that filing status, and she's under 65. The threshold is $25,100. Good job. Okay, so that concludes our lesson on who must file. Now we're going to talk about starting a return and filing status.